live streaming it. I figured for anyone.
Hello, Penny. Hello, Nancy. Come on in. We're building upgrade.
Good morning, how are you?
Just a little bit. There we go.
Take him out several times a And I do notice that, please, if I can come out, that's
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Direct us, O Lord, in our work with this new building dedicated to the glory of your name, and in all of our doings with your most gracious favor. And further our work with your continual help, so that in our works begun, continued, and ended in you, we may glorify your name, and finally, by your mercy and not our merit, obtain everlasting life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I want to begin by thanking the hardest working building committee in Pawleys Island. I'm not, please. I'm not going to betray any secrets that I've heard about other church building projects, but I am very thankful for our well detail oriented, organized, and regularly meeting building committee. They are on top of this, and you have to be, or things will get squirrely, and much worse, they'll get expensive. So, they have tireless energy and attention to this project. That's what it takes to get it done without any excess time or excess funding. Their attention to detail, looking over the plans, making sure that we are getting what you've asked for from the feedback. They've done a wonderful job of that. And these past few weeks, I've been kind of catching up from the flu. And so I've really come into a lot of the meetings with the building committee with very little prep. But y'all have. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think all of us owe a debt of gratitude, but we will give thanks to the building committee at this time when it's completed and generations from now. May you be hallowed for the hard work. And to speak more about that hard work, I give you your building committee.
Before we get started, because there are some faces in here that I don't know, I just thought it would be useful for the members of the building committee that are here today to just kind of say hi, introduce themselves. First of all, I'm Bryce Chambliss, and I'm leading the building committee, which is a fine group of people. And if we just start, every one of the committee members, just introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Jim Cody.
Barbara Belt.
Angela Stripped Rick Irvin.
That's
John Sands.
yes. I thought I saw John in here. As we get started, I'm going to step off script a little bit because it's kind of how I feel too. By a show of hands, who here thought the building would already be well underway? Okay, well, I'm kind of in your camp. This has been an exercise in, feel free to come on. Okay. This has been an exercise in patience because I just assumed things would move much more quickly than they have. And the members of the building committee, in particular Jim and John, have talked me off the ledge a number of times. I just didn't understand why things couldn't move more quickly. But the good news is we are at a point now where you are going to start seeing things moving more quickly. We're finally at that point. I thought it would be useful, and I'm going to read off of some of this to make sure I don't miss any of the points that are pertinent to this. One of the things, although not specifically tied to the building itself, that we needed to take care of was the church, and someone can help me with the date here, purchased a parcel of land that kind of runs along that side in addition to the legacy campus, but those were still appearing as two separate deeds. Well, the building is going to straddle both of those. So of course, you can't just build a building, you have to go and combine the deeds. So we had to have surveys done on that and then combine those into one piece of property. The good news is that has been done. It's been recorded with Georgetown, so now Holy Cross Faith Memorial has one big plot of land, and the building can go where we need it to go. So that was just kind of the thing that we came upon as we started through the process. I think it has been good for us to really take this at a slower pace. We got the final set of drawings, and I think those were received mid-December, I think was the date, early December. Or the architect took all of our input and going back and forth on preliminary drawings to produce this set of drawings. It's 16 pages of drawings like that big. So fortunately, we have people on the committee that have knowledge of construction and electrical and plumbing. That you don't know how fortunate we are as a congregation to have those people that can sit down and look. And I'm thinking about Jim and Kevin in particular, Kevin Harding, who's not here, that look at individual, why are we using this type of screw rather than that type of screw? Why is this door opening that way rather than this way? So we took time as a committee to go through each individual page to look at every conceivable element. Things from where are the plugs placed? Where are the windows placed? Why are they here, not there? Can it be better if we do it this way versus that way? Is the toilet in the right position given where the door is? So it's a million different things. We then had Kevin and Jim go over it in their detail with their technical knowledge to come out and produce red lines on each of the 16 pages so that we could then meet with the architect to produce a combined or reconciled version to send over to the contractor, Coastal Structures. So that was completed. We met with the architect to have that reconciliation meeting just before Christmas. And we knew things weren't going to happen during the holiday season, so it didn't go over to Coastal Structures until January. And even then, it was later than I thought it was going to go to Coastal Structures. The good thing in doing this is the more of these that we can have resolved beforehand, what we don't want to have is sign a contract with Coastal Structures, have the building start, and then we say, you know something, we should have done this, and then can you change that? And you can always change it, but it's going to have a dollar sign attached to it. So we want to avoid any change orders that we possibly can to keep those, keep the costs down. So we accomplished that. Good news is we have just gotten the final number and consolidated drawings back from Coastal Structures as of Friday afternoon. So it's that new. None of us have seen it yet. I was corresponding with the architect on yesterday. He did say that it needs, and in his words, it needs a little bit of work. I didn't know what that meant, but fortunately, I think Father Will had seen the architect out and about, and it's not problematic as far as I know at this point. It's basically Coastal Structures produced their final drawings and a price, and I don't know what the number is, what the final number is, but they just had a single price, and even the architect was telling Father Will, I need to have things broken out for what we're doing. We will also ask Coastal Structures to produce a cash flow that will show us when they're going to be needing to be paid. So that will help us in managing the gifts that the congregation has already given. So we can minimize any building construction loan that we might need to bridge that gap. So there's still some numbers things left to be worked out. Angelo will be handling all of that, right? And so I think we're in a good spot. And once we get this final or review breakdown from Coastal Structures, we'll also then begin to get an idea from them of when they will be able to start construction, what the timeline might be. So that's why I said I think you'll begin to see things a little bit more frequently, because as we get information like when an official start date will be, we're not going to wait to announce that until the next one of these. We'll send out an email communication to say, hey, just so you know, they're going to be out here and it's going to be underway. So I just want to thank all of you and all the people who aren't here as well for your patience in this process. It's been longer than I thought it was going to be, but at least I know a few of the people were with me and thinking it should have already been underway. Any questions right now before I hand over to Barb Belt? Because I wanted Barb to talk to you a little bit about the children's playground and the nursery before I hand over. Any immediate questions?
When do you think it's gonna?
I'm not going there. because honestly, Jill, if you had asked me, I would have thought we would have been started like in December. But we're at the end of February. So I would say sooner rather than later, but I say that not having seen anything from Coastal Structures, nor do I know what their workload is right now. I do know there was one church that had a building project, and did they pull out or just indefinitely delay? So I'm hoping we kind of can fill that gap and get in there.
Yeah, I in the beginning of all this, I'll admit, there was a part of me that wanted to jump spots, in the building order and all, but after seeing the work that Jim, Barb, and Kevin, and John, and everybody did, it might be better to really look at this stuff and take our time, because mistakes at this level can be incredibly expensive. Like really expensive. And so, and I'm not, there are other projects right now that are having to look at increased expenses, but we're not. And so I think at the end of the day, we would prefer a building that cost something what we thought it was going to cost, and come a little later than we thought it might come, versus having something quicker, but with a lot of issues and changes and all of that. So it's a balancing act. I don't have a billion projects in my priest history, but this is the first one. But I do think that this building committee is always prepared and waiting on the architect and not the other way around. And so I think that's a really good spot. We may not be, getting ahead in the timing game, but I think we're staying where we are in the finance game, which is important. So. And you all gave really, really good feedback and really good communication to the building committee. I'm not saying these other churches didn't, but we're going to be honoring that with everything that we can, and not letting something get, something that you all want or find that's necessary in this new building to change because we missed it, because we didn't notice that it wasn't in the original plan. So we're going through these things a whole lot, and I'm very, very thankful, because the benefit's starting to show. It's not showing in time, but it's definitely showing in the lack of change orders and redraws and that kind of stuff, and that's good.
And one thing I did want to point out, Barb, I'll hand it over to you. For those of you who may not have been to one of these sessions before, just feel free to stop by afterwards and take a look at these drawings. There may have been some minor changes since these were produced, but one of the things, just to give you an idea about why it's important to take the time and look at these things, is we looked at, this is the elevation as you come in, we'll come into the front of the building, so into the hallway. That's the multi-purpose room. The nursery is right there, and the offices are behind. But you'll notice the building kind of ends that way, but over here, it's in a hip roof type arrangement. And that was originally done purposely, but then the more we looked at it, it really, aesthetically, it didn't blend in as much and look like some of the other buildings on the campus. So we went back to the architect and said, can we cut this where it just chops off on the end here to make it kind of more a tapered roof line, which you could do, and that actually was less expensive than the way we had it. So doing it that way, we saved some money, and aesthetically, it looks a lot better too. So just little things like that all add up. So Barb,
Before you go to Bob,
Yeah.
I just want to respond to something Father Will just said. A lot of comments came in, and we considered every comment, and we discussed every comment. Sometimes comments contradicted each other. So every comment did not get incorporated, but everyone was considered equal.
yeah, I would totally agree with that. And when he says everyone, every single comment that we got, whether it was talking with someone or in a phone conversation that may have been during the giving campaign, or emails that we received. We went through every single one of those to see what was the best one that we could incorporate.
Well, all through this project, the nursery and the playground have been kind of under my bailiwick. I think it goes back to my years of teaching physical education and knowing the importance of activity for the kids. The nursery, as Bryce mentioned, is off the front entrance. It has lots of windows, it has lots of storage, it has a Dutch door. Off the hallway, it has its own door to leave the building, because the playground itself could not be attached to the building because of space. So what we're gonna do is take space from the corner of our main lot here. So if you walked from the church and came down the walkway, where you turn on the right angle, that's one of the corners. It will have a fence, it will have some gates, it will be approximately 1,600 square feet. Wow. It won't necessarily be square. It will be whatever we need it to be to accommodate the pieces of equipment that we decide to have. And we're gonna try very hard to have equipment that's appropriate for ages 2 to 12. Normally, those are done in totally separate playgrounds. You have 2 to 5 and 5 to 12, because you need a prescribed amount of space around each piece of equipment. But we're gonna try to find equipment that will accommodate both. Plus, we'll have adaptive stations as well. Now, I've taken some time and gone around. I have lots of pictures, particularly in communities in Market Common, that have some of the equipment that we might be able to incorporate. And what I've done, I've vetted a company that has offices in Cary, North Carolina, and their main plant in manufacturing is in Minneapolis. And I might even go there, but I'm gonna wait till after the snow. But I might even go there just to see what kinds of things they have. I've been very impressed with the communication I've had with them. I've gotten good ideas from Candy Boyd and Amanda, and we're working very hard to take care of the kids. And it will have, the whole playground will have an appropriate ground cover, fencing, gates, and perhaps a little bit of shade cover, because it's going to be put out there in the wide open spaces. But, and we'll take care of the ants before we put anything down. Y'all have any questions?
It's not anywhere near the disc golf baskets, so the kids will be safe.
That's why I'm saying it's not gonna be square. If it's a square 40 by 40, we'll be getting discs out of the playground.
I'm not that.
Doreen?
Is there any thought to having this area be used during the week?
Oh, it will be open and visible.
You know,
Can
and
come.
a
Particularly interested.
program for young children, so it's not just used on Sunday?
No, it won't just be used on Sunday. I'm thinking about the children who come for the after-school program down here in the chapel. The children of friends and neighbors who come as clients to the food pantry and to the clinic. It's going to be visible. Parents can watch their kids play on Sunday instead of the squirrels in the trees. But yes, it's going to be available. It's not under lock and key.
Yeah, I think that's important. With an after-school program here on campus, they fit into that age group. And so I imagine that they'll make abundant use of the playground, you know, and all of that. And they're here 5 days a week. And in the evenings, especially after school, if you're around, you'll see about 5 to 10 extra cars parked below this building and over at church, because there's internet access at each. And there are kids in the cars, and sometimes they're doing homework. So I think that this is something needed and will be made use of very, very regularly. Maybe in the beginning more than what we use it on Sunday, to be honest. So.
Yes,
Will
Dr.
play devil's advocate, how does our insurance cover people that come in when they're at the clinic and whatever to use the playground?
I'll yield to the father.
Yeah, we've got good church insurance.
Okay.
This is not the first time a playground's been built at church. And one of the things, and now, if it was just like me and Jim Cody slapping together some 2x4 sawhorses and stuff in the garage, that might not, but because we're gonna be using a company and their safety research and design and all that, it all fits very easily. We won't see an increase of insurance, and we're already covered for whole campus liability and all that kind of stuff, so no concerns there, but a good question.
Yeah, it was. I will make a point though, because of the spacing required, national standards and such for various pieces of equipment and types of equipment. I do want to go 2 to 12, but if I have to, I'll pull back from the 12-year-old in and concentrate on the 2 to 6, 7, 8, just as a comment. Because we're not going to turn the entire open space into a playground.
And besides, we've got a good acolyte program. When they get to be 12, they need to be acolytes.
But if you have any thoughts as, you see me on campus, just, about the project itself or about the nursery and the playground, just, hey Barb.
Well, Barb, let me say, it is fun to watch you work with this because it is incorporating your vast experience with all this, but your excitement about it too. So I think,
It's gonna be good.
yeah. So that's really fun. Thank you, Barb.
And just to wrap up, one of the things that we as a committee had done was, in the interim, when things were taking as long as they took, what could we keep doing to keep the process moving forward? So we've started looking at furnishings, because what we want to do is have that piece of it ready to go, to have the building be functional on day one, although not finished. And what I mean by that is, just like your house, when you build a new house, you have enough furniture to get it started and it's done. But over time, your aunt comes and gives you something and you have that as a gift, or you see another chair you want and you buy the chair. So we will have this building ready to go. The offices will be furnished, the multi-purpose room will have the chairs, we'll have a lectern that's ready to go, projection, we'll have the nursery will be furnished. So all of those things will have enough so that it's ready to go. And that will, again, be with an eye toward the funding that we have to work with. So when you look at this drawing, this is the same as that one, except kind of conceptually, furniture has been placed in it. Do not be locked to this, but it just gives you an idea of how it could look. We already know there are going to be changes because how some of the desks are arranged. We've already talked to the staff. We know that some of those are going to be different. But it does give you a sense of, well, this is, if we line the chairs up in the multi-purpose room, it could look like this. So just know that we're already reaching out and doing the research on the furnishings while the other is taking place. So we'll have everything ready to go in as soon as we can furnish it. Questions? Yes.
Well, I'll just give some moral support. We're 2 years into building a house, and I will let you know change orders are the worst enemy, so avoid them as best as possible. And currently, we are working with Coastal Structures on a personal project, and I will let you know they've been amazing to work with. And sometimes waiting till when they're ready is the best thing to do.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, sir.
How long do you think it will take to do the actual construction?
That's a good question. I should know something more after we meet with the architect, now that we've gotten that initial information from Coastal Structures. I'm not a construction person, so I wouldn't venture a guess. Jim, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, we've used a number
Depends on
just
the
to
contractor.
stay able to sleep at night of about 9 months, something like, a little less than a year.
Okay. Other questions?
just
Yes.
thinking of something. So when we furnish the church, we have like a shower. Are you gonna do anything like that where people sign up to buy certain things for the building?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're thinking about. And that's why we want to go ahead and get, what are our needs? You know, how many chairs for the multipurpose room? You know, one of the things we had talked about with Father Will last week at our meeting was a lectern. There needs to be a lectern, and we're gonna have an amplified lectern, so that, because of the size of the room, you'll be able to, that will be adequate for that purpose. You know, so we're looking at what the needs are, then we'll come up with probably like kind of a registry type thing. But I think that would be good because everyone in the congregation has been so generous to get us to this point, to have that seed money to fund this. But it does have to be furnished, and, you know, it's another way that we can invite people to be a part of the process. You know, I might have an interest in furnishing Father Will's office. I might.
Standing desk.
Yeah. I don't know that he would like what I buy him, but that's kind of what we're thinking. You know, people may have a particular interest.
Yeah, what we talked about at our last meeting was getting the building to a functionality state, okay? So that it can be used in all the different ways that was communicated to the building committee on how you want to use it. Set up, take chairs, tables, you know, that kind of stuff. And so it'll have the things that we need to be able to use it. But we're going to depend on the congregation and the community to make it livable. You know, just in the past 12 years, I've seen changes big and small in our church, in the church building, that have made it more livable, if you will. The long furniture table things in the narthex, you know, that has made it easier. We've got more drawers to fill with junk. We need that here. Welcome banner, you know, that was added. You know, so over time, it will become more and more home, but we're not going to try to do that from the beginning. We're going to make it a good multi-purpose building and then leave it up to y'all to make it home. Now, we may approach some churches to say, hey, you know, would you all like to give us a check to furnish this office? You know, and we'll make that evident that you did that. I think that would be a nice source of, or a nice place of unity in this campus with that possibility. And we also have folks that you know, that have nice gifts and all, but we're nowhere close to the place of taking your old couch yet.
Yes.
I was a member of Paul's Island Presbyterian when they built their new, which has now been about 15 years ago or 10 years ago. They found the need for audiovisual equipment and technology, good technology, in the big multi-purpose room became an essential. Do we have some thoughts about that? Or?
The answer is yes, we're having those discussions. Father Will, you raised your hand.
It's gotten so much easier now. It's all wireless. You don't have to run that blue Cat 5 cable to every room and every outlet anymore. You just have to pay $500 for a big old router, and then everything connects wirelessly now. So it's been a lot easier to build this with that in mind, because you know, we'll have radio waves all over the place over there, but the need for the pre-construction planning for technology is not anywhere where it was 15 years ago. Everything's standalone, and everything's wireless, and so as long as the router doesn't, you know, get kicked off the table, everything works fine, and we don't have to run cable from office to office. We'll still have phone lines, you know, and power, but those are fairly easy to do. So.
And we've got a closet for all that.
And we got a
Yeah,
closet.
we got a closet for that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the multi-purpose room, we're gonna have a drop-down screen. But there's really no need to, you know, mount a projector hanging down from a cathedral ceiling on a pole. That can be placed on a table just fine. And that's what we've been doing for 12 years, and as infrequently as we need a projector, that's worked fine. And we've got a good projector. So.
Yes.
The mention of closets brought to mind, is there any plan for storage? I know storage is such a problem here.
Yeah, there's functional storage built in, so like, storage room in the multipurpose room for chairs and tables to be put away in that area. There's, in the office section, there will be, storage space for office materials, paper, toner, that kind of stuff. We've looked at, actually, and came from Susie, because we had a space for a copier and then the closet for the office materials, and she goes, well, you've got all this wall space, why can't we just put shelving up there? And great idea, simple, functional, we just hadn't seen it, so we took that, and so there will be storage there. But in terms of having space for large, rooms to just fill it with stuff, no, there isn't.
I was thinking more of all the papers, all the things that the diocese and, everything you have to keep.
For like bank boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will be able to access the attic of this building with a ship ladder. So it's not like a pull down, thing that you unfold and it creaks real big and snaps and pops as you walk up, at least mine does. It's a fully metal, flat stair, ship ladder. And we'll have plenty of room in the attic. That's where all the HVAC stuff is going and all that. And so we've got a place to put, and we have to keep about 20 to 30 bank boxes of files. That's in the attic here right now. And that'd be very easy to move over to this building when the time comes.
I hope does that answer your question?
That was what I did.
Oh.
But also, now they have this thing where you can have a thing that goes right up into the ceiling. You don't have to go up and drag things up the stairs. It just
Well,
goes
we can do
right
another
up.
campaign if you want.
That could be part of this.
We all love that.
Yeah.
You say like a dumbwaiter.
And you can have, and you haven't built this yet, so you just have this hole and it just goes right on up.
That's a convenient idea.
Wow.
Any other questions? That was good. Well, we'll be up here for a few minutes. Come take a look at this. We'll answer individual questions. And I just want to say, on my behalf, the building committee members have been wonderful. And we, as a congregation, are so fortunate to have the people that are on this committee. They've got experience, knowledge, easy to work with, and they understand where we're trying to go with this as we pull this all together. And I want to thank each of you for the suggestions that you have that have come from the congregation directly, for the patience that you had with this, and for the grace that you've given us as we go through this process. Thank you again. The input, and Jen mentioned it specifically, the input that you gave us has absolutely everyone been considered. So we're getting there. We'll have an update for you soon. We'll have another one of these meetings for sure in another quarter, but I anticipate we'll probably get some emails with updates before then. So thank you very much, and just feel free to join us.
I'm concerned about price increases Well, I would hope, given the original estimate number, that it's not going to be a 20% increase. I literally got things that were even prior. Let me get you one. But, we can talk about, we'll see.